Ho, 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 prancers and dancers, and welcome back to episode 97 of the Change My Mind podcast, part of the hashtag Dorkshare Gooniverse, along with Geeks Worldwide Radio, and of course, Midnight.fm. We have visions of sugar plums dancing in our eardrums. We've made our list and we've checked it twice, and we are going to find out who's naughty by nature or nice and smooth. I'm Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Barnaby to my Barabbas, Mr. Nick Fryer. Nick, how are you today?
I am doing very well, and I'm just thinking of something that came up at your Christmas party the other day as you were going through the intro, and I wondered if it popped into your head when that happened.
Every time. And that's probably the reason why I still screw up all this time, because that's in my head.
It's unbelievable. You know what? I support you, Wes. You know that all the time, even if you're not always getting it at home.
I was almost there. That was about 95% sold.
You were rolling, and then I was like, no.
I felt it, No. Sometimes I confuse myself, like I give myself challenging things that I know are going to twist me up, and I still do it every week.
I would.
But this week, I'm not going to be twisted because we are going back to one of our holiday favorites. Of course, I'm referring to our first ever review of Wonder Woman 84, which we promised you last week. However, due to a scheduling snafu on our part, maybe misreading, poor comprehension skills on our part, we will be reviewing Wonder Woman when it actually is released in the United States next week on Christmas. So that'll be next week's episode. But in lieu of that news, we're going back to a personal favorite Christmas movie of mine. Yes, I'm referring to 1994's The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen. But before that, Nick, how about an intro question here?
Oh, yeah.
Would you? This is a topical one, if you will. Would you rather have a lightsaber of your choosing or Wonder Woman's lasso of truth?
Okay, this might be one of your worst intro questions ever. Not because I don't like lightsabers or I don't like Wonder Woman and her weaponry, but I just...
So topical. Mandalorian just ended. Wonder Woman's coming out.
Yeah, in that vein, it's a great question, but I feel like this is a no-brainer. I'm taking a lightsaber. Who in their right mind is taking the lasso of truth?
No. So to frame this question, I think a little bit more, we are not in the Star Wars universe or the DCEU or anything like that. We are just Nicholas J. Esquire and Topo Gigio here, just living our everyday lives. Just a couple of average Joes walking around with a lightsaber. Does that change anything?
I just realized that you put that as your name of our StreamYard.
Topo Gigio.
I didn't catch that initially. I usually always check too first thing when we sign on, but no, it doesn't change at all. Who doesn't want to have a lightsaber, like an actual real lightsaber? I think that would be badass. You just have it, and then whenever you want, just...
But it's like a sword, though. Like, would you really use the sword? Like, I think Wonder Woman's lasso of truth is like, one, it's an ambiguous weapon, so it can really do anything it wants. You can, bypass traffic by lassoing thunderbolts and just kind of swinging from thunderbolt to thunderbolt there.
Do you think you can do that, though, or do you think she's also able to
practice? Who knows?
I mean, the lasso's capable of that, but I don't think any of us are capable of accomplishing that.
No, but I could be like, Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker, when he's trying to learn how to use the spider webs and, get on top of the rooftop and you slam into a building and things like that. It's a process, I wouldn't say I would be great at it right away, but I think the real reason why I would do this, lasso of truth, no one's ever cutting any bullshit to you.
This is true.
You can use that in a multitude of ways, in work, in your relationships, family life, friendships, anything.
I like to develop trust the old-fashioned way, Wes. I don't know about you, so I don't think I want a piece of rope to have to accomplish that for me.
I think the best way to build trust is through deceit and deception.
You can do that too. You just assume everybody's lying all the time, or you can always assume the worst from everybody, and then I think you'll always be happy.
That's true too. So that's one way around it. But you could always find. You never have to guess if that girl, at the gym is looking at you or something on the opposite side of the subway or something. Does she like you? Maybe you just give her a quick, lasso or something, lasso her shoe, and then you find out.
So that seems okay. That seems more realistic to you than just having a random lightsaber that you could just mess around with at home. You're gonna go and lasso random people in public.
Well, apparently you don't even have to lasso it, right? Because Justice League has taught us that all you have to do is sit on it or be touching it.
True.
And that can happen. So crowded subway, you're
I understand that, but
during COVID, that's not really a scenario.
Right.
But that was a pre-2020 scenario.
But I understand that, but I'm listening to the idea you're proposing, and you were saying you were going to lasso some random girl.
Well,
I don't know where
that sounds like in the hashtag Me Too era. That I don't think that would go over too well. So if I could, just cut that, we'll go back and edit that out.
Okay,
First 5 minutes of talking about lassoing girls and getting the truth out of them, like that's probably not a good look on my part.
Yeah, maybe not. But it's okay, Wes. I think I knew that you meant well by it. I also know that you're a happily married man. Well, I don't know how happily. I mean, I know you try to be, but he's getting that support. I know it's tough. Anyway,
I'm very happy. I'm having a great time here.
Okay. Anyways, is it time to trend?
Yes, it's always time to trend.
Okay, so The Mandalorian season 2 came to an end last week. And Dork and who else? Mac and Goo are talking about it this week. We are not, because Wes is not a Star Wars guy. He doesn't watch the shows. You've watched the movies. Are you going to watch the Book of Boba Fett?
See, that sounds interesting. And again, that maybe feels like something that should have been done or approached like 10 or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe. But, they're getting around to all this now. I just think like all of these spin-off stuff, like I can only be invested really into one universe, right? And I think that's the MCU for me. I think that's what it's coming down to. Will I watch? Will I still drive on the highway of Star Wars and follow like the major motion pictures and stuff? Yeah, of course. Like I enjoy those movies. Same thing with the DCEU, but it's just not going to be to the extent of what Marvel is, especially giving with all their new properties that are just rolled out. I have a real concern of whether it's Star Wars or Marvel or whatever about just getting content fatigue at a certain point. But
you also were texting me after what happened on Friday in the finale of the show without getting into spoilers, and you had a little FOMO, didn't you?
Well, you see it online and it's going crazy and stuff. Like, you want to know what's going on and stuff. And that's just the spoiler person in me. I don't really want to put in the effort of going through, was it 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is on top of the first season to actually earn that. I just want to know what the spoiler is.
Yeah, it's the journalist in you. You want to know everything. You want to get.
I like that. I'll go with that. That seems like a good one.
So, all right. So that's why we're not reviewing the show. But guess what? Go listen to hashtag Dork and go listen to Mac and Goo. They're going to offer different perspectives, and I'm sure you guys will have fun with it. I know with Dork that they like it, and I know with Mac and Goo they have a lot of criticisms of it. Also, I know Billy D had a lot of criticisms of it as well. And to Billy D and Mac specifically, fuck you guys. This show turned out awesome. This show is amazing. I don't want to hear this. Oh yeah, you know what? It's good at the end, and I like it, and blah blah blah. No, you guys were shitting on it from the first episode. First episode was good. I don't care what anybody says. Was the second episode? No, not really. I agree. Yes, but guess what? That happens sometimes. This is a good show. It's been a good show. One episode's not going to dictate it for me. If you're going to complain about the world building and all that crap, then get out. That's what this is. This is how all this stuff is done. And look at where we are now. We got a Boba Fett show. Oh, and by the way, also, everybody through the years before I was even born who was shitting on Boba Fett for saying that he's not
overrated.
Yeah, overrated, not a kick-ass character or whatever. Also, fuck you. You were proven wrong. Again, Dave Filoni, thank you so much. Wes, I couldn't take it with Mac and Billy shitting on the show. And I like Boba Fett. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I heard people didn't like him. It's okay if you're indifferent on him, but you don't like him? All right, whatever. So now you all look like idiots. Thank you, Dave Filoni. I appreciate it very much. And he is a genius. If he's really pulling all the strings like right now, like Feige does, I mean, Star Wars is all set. Very
exciting. Let me ask you then, which one was better, season 1 or season 2?
I think season 2 is better because I think when we obviously everybody knows now you got Boba Fett, you got Ahsoka Tano, and just at the risk of not spoiling anything for anybody who maybe hasn't seen it yet, knowing this isn't a Mandalorian episode, the final episode of season 2 was outstanding as well. We get something really awesome that's going to stick with a lot of people for a while. I mean, it's definitely better, and I liked season 1, but I thought 2 stepped this game up quite a bit.
And now season 3 not coming until 2022. Does that seem right to you?
Maybe. I actually hadn't looked into it because you know what, Wes? I'm so excited about all the other shows that we're going to be getting with Star Wars. And again, like now that we have Filoni, who's become so prominent, and I think you and I talked about it. Maybe it was my brother I talked to it about. I get, we have such a brotherly relationship. I get confused all the time. Of course. But Filoni, when he explained the Darth Maul fight scene with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, the significance of that, right then and there, like this guy gets Star Wars better than anybody. And like we've seen with Feige, where he gets Marvel better than anybody. Having a guy like him is so huge. Like Favreau, don't get me wrong, he was important with both franchises. But this guy, I trust anything that he's involved with, and it seems like it's going to be close to everything. I trust his judgment 1,000%. So I'm very excited.
Okay, it looks like it's trending in the right direction. Something that has been trending upwards in popularity. That's why it's in this segment called Trending Now. Go figure. Tom Cruise on the set of Mission Impossible 7. I believe this was in London. But he was ranting about crew members who were not following COVID-19 protocols.
Right.
I believe. I'm a little sketchy on all the details because I just really listened to the audio. Have you listened to this?
I listened to the audio because I saw it circling around. And I think I asked the DSG group chat what the heck was. I think I saw Casey was actually the one that tweeted it out. And it and basically what you're saying is what it was. And at first I was like, well, Jesus, what are you freaking out about? But when you put it into context, like what, and this is why context is always so important. I don't entirely blame him for doing what he did. Would I have taken his approach and screamed like him? No, but I get the passion. I get why he kind of lost it.
Yeah, like but my question is he the asshole here? You know, like
I mean, again,
famous thing on Reddit, and like you see it. I think KFC Barstool does those things. Am I the asshole? And they go through and like analyze all this stuff. So like, is he the asshole in this stuff?
I think he took an asshole approach, but the stance that he was taking was the right stance. I think he did the right thing. Would I have gone about it that way? No, but in the end, I think he's right.
When I'm listening to that for the first time and you hear the tone and the anger in his voice and you're not actually listening to what he's saying, you're like, damn, yeah, this guy's an asshole. And you already know like the Scientology thing and him just kind of going off the rails already. I think it's Doug Miscavige, who was the leader of the Church of Scientology after L. Ron Hubbard.
The first baseman for the Boston Red Sox?
Yeah, Doug Miscavige.
Yeah.
I think it's Doug Miscavige.
Yeah,
very, it could be, maybe just a little twist in the name here.
Scientology, who knows what that's
2004 World Series winner. Yeah. But no, he has like very similar explosions where he's like kind of like explodes in a similar way of Tom Cruise does. They're obviously very close. He's high up in the Church of Scientology. I know this because my wife Jules, has been hooked on that Leah Remini show on Scientology on Netflix. It's like 8 seasons long. She's been watching it and like rewatching it and everything. So I catch it in pieces. But when you hear like what he's saying, like he wants to keep jobs open. He wants to keep, people, food on the plate and people in college and stuff. Does that seem a little disingenuous? Like probably, like, is he just using that as an excuse to really explode? And he just kind of wants to stay relevant and him himself continue making money. I'm sure he's a producer. I'm sure he has money invested in this film that he would like to see recouped. So I think using that as a cop-out is, like a little disingenuous. But I think for the most part, you can't really be mad at what he was saying. The guy, he's an asshole, but
yeah, I mean,
right here.
Anytime we're talking about actors and them preaching in any capacity, I mean, we all know that there's something that they have to gain from them doing what they're doing or saying what they're saying for sure. So, and with Cruise, obviously, when you know that he's nuts, I was with you. Like when I first heard it, I was like, wait a second, what is he losing his mind over? It sounds like it doesn't sound. I still was listening to the words. I was trying to get past the tone, and I couldn't figure out what the hell he was talking about. But then when you put it in context, like, yeah. Okay. I mean, again, though, like you said, he probably looks at it as like, I'm going to be this beacon of hope for the movie industry, and we're going to lead everybody out of it and, be able to start filming. And, you want to have Mandalorian where it has to wait till 2022 to come out, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Like there's some like a douchey side to it, but in the end, like he's doing the right thing. And I guess that's really all that matters, I guess. Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if his people released this.
Oh, Oh,
Like 'cause it's
wow.
kind of a good look, and again, it sparks this debate, and
Good
it's like, yeah,
call.
he's an asshole, but he's kind of right though. Like,
That's a good call, Wes, and that is a douchey move. That is a really douchey
but
move.
like that's like a
Oh,
Hollywood thing, though. I feel like you have agents, slick agents, and stuff, and PR people who
oh
have
yeah.
those ties in, and they're like, all right, we'll do this, and then just gone, no news is good news, or all press is good press, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I think we've learned in time that there is a limit on all press is good press. I think we've
Right?
learned that
Yeah.
in the past 4 years or so, I would say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I think but God, you are so good at figuring like twisting those little things like with conspiracies.
Well,
Like,
I wasn't an original one. I believe that was Andrew Schultz, who has a very interesting Netflix special out right now. But he's a comedian. I think he brought that up with Joe Rogan. So not an original thought on my part. I'm
why
relaying that.
don't give him credit? If he didn't write it down, then you can take it. I don't
Proper
really.
citation. That's journalism rule number 43.
Yeah. I appreciate you're starting to integrate more. You texted me one the other day. I think that was rule number 32, and I can't remember what the heck it was.
Yeah, don't worry about the source if the information is sound.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. That one was, I felt like my head was
Deep
like
throat, baby. Just ask deep throat.
my brain was like a pretzel after that one. Wonder Woman 84 was, so we thought that it was going to be released in theaters on the 17th, and then we would get to go to theaters before everybody else in the DSG because Wes and I are fearless, and we'll go see those movies for you guys in theaters. And then we found out it's getting theatrical releases at the same exact time as the HBO release. So we're probably just going to watch it from our home like everybody else.
Yeah, I think if given the option to, I don't know, I might given I'm on vacation, so we'll see what a Saturday is like. Jules usually works Saturday night, so I might go out and see that on the 26th. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear. But it's kind of concerning because it's gotten good reviews, but the release internationally, 38.5 million, little disappointing.
Well, Wes, it's still COVID times. I don't know every situation overseas right now. I mean, I think I saw New Zealand is doing really well in general, like with the COVID stuff. But I got to imagine everywhere else, people are still kind of jittery until they get the vaccines all distributed and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not too concerned about it. I think that's definitely a low number. But I think, like we've said in these movies, obviously you want the money with these sort of movies. But given the 2020 kind of scenario that we're in, I would rely more on the reviews than people not showing out to go see it in the theater.
Right. And honestly, I didn't have, I'll give them this, like I didn't have HBO Max. I got rid of it early on in the pandemic just because, money and stuff like that. I think I mentioned this already on the show. Now that it's on HBO Max, or that it's going to be soon, it's like, all right, now I got to get it so I can go watch it.
Well,
so, this is back.
Offline here because I have the Comcast HBO. So I think I should have it for free. Maybe we could work something out.
Yeah. I think we can.
Throw it out there.
And then last week, so obviously we are doing a Christmas movie that was on the DSG Top 25 Christmas Movies list, right?
It absolutely was. Where it was, I'm not really sure, but I think we have some questions about the math here.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of it, Keith, when he talked about It's a Wonderful Life, I could have sworn he said I had it a highest like on my list. I get that I may have had it highest of everybody else in the DSG, but either way, I think Rossi's math, like that's just the one thing I want to point out. It sounds a little suspect. It seems like he screwed up a little bit.
Yeah, and there was a couple references on they said, like you said, Keith was saying who had what movies on their personal list, and some weren't even on my list that he had mentioned. So I don't know if there was a screw up on a transfer there, or if that was Rossi or anything. But my top 5, I shared it on Twitter underneath the Dork episode tweet. If you're interested in seeing all of that, but my top 5 is Home Alone 2 at number 5, The Santa Claus number 4, Christmas Story number 3, Christmas Vacation number 2, Home Alone 1 at number 1.
So I will also admit that I made a screw up myself on my list. I accidentally forgot a movie that I love. That's a Hallmark movie, so that's a little bit easier to forget. And no one else is going to have it. Christmas Shoes, and who's in that actually is the sister from According to Jim, believe it or not.
Oh.
And
That's
that's a Rob Lowe movie too. And that song so it was a song and then it spawned this Hallmark show. The song makes me cry. I haven't listened to it yet this year, but every time, the first time I listen to it, makes me cry. And that movie makes me cry too. So I can't believe I left it off there. And I was a little frustrated about that, but whatever. I mean, Muppet Christmas Carol, I didn't know how high it was going to end up on everybody else's list. I was very glad to see that it was, I think, a top 3 finish. That's my number 1 with a bullet.
That was very high. And I'm probably in the minority on this. I'm not a big Elf guy. I recognize it as a very popular movie, and I think my top 10 reflected that. But like I'm just not as. I think that was the number 1 movie, if I'm not mistaken. That
Elf was.
Alone were 1 and 2, right?
I apparently screwed over Home Alone, which I don't feel bad about at all.
It's a good debate either way. I think overall, generally speaking, it's tough to be mad with either one. But Elf just doesn't like. I don't seek out Elf. I don't think it's as funny. I don't know why. It hit it for me.
I think Elf's pretty damn funny. I had a tough time with it for a stretch because the same thing with The Office, the secondhand embarrassment. Yeah. I had a really tough time with that. Like when he would yell Santa in the middle, I know him. I used to I had a tough time with that for a period, but I got through that. I got past it. It was it was very difficult for me though. Not a low point, man. It's such a tough part though. But anyways,
okay.
So you guys can go back and listen to that on #Dork. Also, you can find #Dork, Change My Mind, Mac and Goo merch, and #Dork Shared Gooniverse merch all over on TeePublic. So make sure you guys go check that out. There are no sales right now, I think, till the end or till the start of 2021. So I would wait till that goes out, and we're always tweeting it out. We share it on Facebook usually too. So if you're following us.
But I will say, Christmas is right around the corner. If you get any of those Amazon gift cards or just general like Visa gift cards, maybe, you want to spend a little Christmas cash.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Price. No one's going to stop you.
Oh, you can. That is absolutely a fair point, Weston. If you want to spend full price, by all means, go ahead.
We're about to get $600 from the government, so $600 worth of Universe merch. Could be a good way to invest it.
That is definitely a good way to invest it. I'll believe that when I see that. As for this week in comics, Doc is reviewing Batman White Knight, presents Harley. Oh, no, I messed up on the writing there. Batman White Knight presents, Harley Quinn 3. That thing is a friggin' mouthful. Red Hood 52 is out. And there's been quite a bit of news this past week from DC where they announced some Batman stuff, Superman stuff, Wonder Woman, and Nightwing is going to have Tom Taylor writing it. I thought Nightwing was going to come to an end with Future State. So it seems like there's a lot of different stuff developing right now with DC. I'm very excited for it. I know Doc is right now too. But when I see Tom Taylor taking over Nightwing, Wes, I know you're not reading this stuff, but Tom Taylor, he has a tendency to kill a lot of characters.
Toolman Taylor.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know what he's going to do with Nightwing. But I trust him. Like I trust that he's going to write a good story. I just don't trust that Dick Grayson will necessarily survive this, and that is a bit concerning. But King in Black continues on this week, and then U.S. Agent, which is what we talked about that a little while back. I read that first issue, mentioned that I liked it, and I'm definitely going to pick up the second one. So I will try to report back on that as well over on TLDR, where Doc and I are doing a Christmas special this week. So,
now, a question on U.S. Agent. I feel like this has been, and I love that you guys are doing Christmas specials. I'm very excited to see what type of comic books come up with a Christmas theme. Are they Die Hard-esque, or do they really capture the Christmas spirit?
Doc's is awesome. I'll tell you that right now. I'm pissed that he got that one.
But my question for the U.S. Agent, and I've heard this rumored perhaps on certain YouTube channels, if you will, that I'm blanking on the name, but the Black Captain America, Isaiah Reed.
I don't know who that is.
But he was supposed to be introduced in Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I should say. I wasn't sure if he was at all brought up.
I have not seen him yet. I mean, there was only one issue, so maybe I'll see him in the second one. I thought I'm expecting what's his face, Sam, to become Captain America and all this. I mean, we saw
no, he definitely will. But I think this Black Captain, Isaiah Bradley, it's like a flashback, like after. After they've already had Steve Rogers and he goes under, they continue to try to make super soldiers. And Isaiah Bradley is a Captain America for some time while like Cap is under the ice.
Okay.
I think that's the storyline, but I think they're going to go back and talk about it like retroactively in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That would be a good.
I wasn't sure if U.S. agent was like teasing that or kind of bringing that back and fold
not at all. It seems like it's just establishing that character for people who maybe haven't read him before or seen him much, whatever. But we talked about the comedy aspect of it, and that you're definitely getting that in this book too. So I think he's a character that a lot of people will like when it comes time. But
Okay.
anyways, I think it's time for us to get to our main topic.
Yes, I think it's a great time to do so. And this is, of course, we're going to be reviewing the Santa Claus, the 1994 Disney movie. And Nick, you got a good synopsis for us?
Your favorite Christmas movie of all time, correct?
No, it's Home Alone. This is one of them up there, though. It's definitely up there.
You just read off the list, and I totally just blanked on that. My apologies. Unbelievable. All right, you always say. Well, I'll let you get to why you always say it's such an important movie. You've seen a ton, but anyways, the synopsis: when a man inadvertently makes Santa fall off of his roof on Christmas Eve, he finds himself magically recruited to take his place.
Oh, yes. And upon rewatch here, we'll get into this. You could kind of take this down a dark road, and the movie almost went there. We'll discuss that. But this movie, of course, was directed by John Pasquin, starring Tim Allen, who plays Scott Calvin or Santa Claus, Judge Reinhold, who plays the deadbeat stepdad, Neil, who wears sweaters, like Bill Cosby has sweaters. That tells you all you need to know. Wendy Crewson, who plays the character of Laura, the ex-wife and mother of Charlie, who was played by Eric Lloyd. And lastly, we have a good mensch playing an elf, which is kind of an ironic twist of events there. But David Crumholtz, who you may remember from such famous roles as the friends of Harold and Kumar, and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
I've definitely seen him in some other things, some of the random stuff. But real quick,
I think he might have been like an AV geek in like 10 Things I Hate About You, or like one of those high school movies.
There was something else though, like I don't know if it was, it was a random role. I remember seeing him and I was like, wait a minute, is that Bernard? But with Wendy Crewson, she reminds me too of the Legally Blonde girl who's also in the Hellboy movies with what's his face?
Selma Blair?
Is that the actress' name?
With the black hair?
With the black hair. Yeah. She gives me. I mean, they got the same.
Sarah Michelle Gellar in Cruel Intentions, right?
Sure. I just like the I'm trying to think, who the heck was it that's in Hellboy? The guy that Perlman. Jeez.
Ron Perlman?
Yeah, Ron Perlman. God,
there we go. This is a good naming segment here. I like this.
Yeah, definitely. All right. This is rated a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, a 72-65 split on Rotten Tomatoes. It made $144 million on a $22 million budget. And it spent 7 weeks in the top 5 at the box office, including 2 weeks at number 1, its third and fourth weeks of release. And of course, it is now available on Disney Plus, which is how I watched it. But is that how you watched it?
That is absolutely how I watched it.
Okay.
I watched it twice, actually. I watched it over the weekend and just before getting on here, doing some good research.
Because this is a movie that is very special for you.
Yes, of course it is.
All right.
So what is your tweet length review and overall score before we jump into the categories here?
Okay, so Tim the Toolman Taylor shows Al Borland how to really grow a beard while also proving identity theft is a real problem in America. And this was before the world's major tech boom. 70 out of 100.
That is a really great review. Identity theft is a real problem in this world, and it's no laughing matter as the Santa Claus approaches it here. So great job. 70 out of 10, a little low, but I almost think, like, I'll explain here too. I almost put like these Christmas movies and stuff like that, as we were discussing at the holiday party, in a different, like, each movie has like a sentimental feeling to you for whatever reason. Maybe you watched it while decorating the tree or opening up presents and things like that. So it's on a different scale than, say, my MCU movie rankings or anything like that. But with that said, tweet length review. One of the few VHS tapes my father owned in a post-divorce life. It's hokey, corny, cheesy, but I absolutely love it. Even if Neil and Charlie are two horrible human beings, 88 out of 100. Classic, certified fresh.
Neil and Charlie are horrible human beings?
I hate Charlie. Charlie's a little punk bitch. Neil's the worst, but Charlie's a punk bitch throughout this whole thing.
Oh my God. I mean, he's an annoying kid. I actually didn't. I mean, I'll get to that a little bit later on in the course of things. But yeah, Neil is the absolute worst. I mean, you don't need to.
Yeah, and exactly. Why I love this, as I mentioned in the tweet length review, is that as I might have mentioned on the program before, I am a COD. I'm a child of divorce here, a proud serving member, maybe a 20-year strong serving member. But at any rate, so when my father moved out of the house and we would go and visit him on the weekends, on the other side of town, essentially. There were 3 VHS tapes that he had in his possession, and there is a reoccurring theme. Forgive me if I've told this before, but again, it's fitting. It's the Santa Claus, it's Mrs. Doubtfire, and it's Multiplicity.
That's right, Multiplicity. Okay,
So
I couldn't really know.
Is there a tie in there that you're picking up on, Nick?
Yes, yeah, I sense a theme for sure.
Yeah, so those movies again, I love them all. Divorced dads.
What is your
divorced dads? But like dads who were kind of shitted on. I don't think Michael Keaton's character in Multiplicity was divorced, but I think they were hitting a rough patch in their marriage, probably heading towards divorce.
Which one's your favorite of those 3?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Robin Williams is great. Who is his gay brother who puts the mask on? He's very Jewish and curly hair. And he's got like the raspy voice and he talks like this. He's hysterical. That movie's great.
Yeah. So maybe we need to review those 2 because of how special they were to you as a kid as well. Like some point down the line. What?
Father's Day, perhaps.
Ooh, I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea. All right. So we have the categories. We don't have the fancy names like we do for the MCU or the DCEU because it's obviously very different. Mm-hmm. And this is the first category that we always start with is the most rewatchable scene. And I know you have a few options here. For me, rewatchable scenes for me are usually like action scenes more than anything. Sure. And obviously we're not getting that here. So I couldn't think of a rewatchable scene as we're going through this. Let's even have to rewatch.
So I kind of think of this as like, and again, this is the same model they use on a podcast called the Rewatchable. So go figure, right? But if you see this on television at a certain point, you're flicking through channels and it comes on and you catch this 5-10 minute snippet of the movie, you're watching through that point. That's kind of what I use for it. So I think right to open the movie, you got Scott Calvin driving back from the holiday party, calling Laura, saying that he's running late and he's in traffic while he's making shit up the whole time. And it's like the freeway is completely wide open. I think that's very hysterical. Again, it kind of hits on Tim Allen's like middle American. I know he's probably like very rich in this movie, but he plays that like middle American blue collar kind of like everyman, salt of the earth type of guy. And this just kind of sets it up well, right? He's like, are making up excuses already. He's already kind of relatable. So I enjoy that. Of course, Scott becoming Santa for the first time and visiting the houses and all the crazy hijinks that involve in there. We'll get into that a little bit later as well, because he's kind of a jerk in that moment. A little bit. But lastly, one of my favorite scenes as well, Scott getting the list. And that whole scene when he gets the list delivered to him, then he's walking down the street and he's seeing all the kids and he's like, Billy, naughty, Tim, nice. Then he sees like the hot blonde, leggy blonde. Yeah, Veronica, very nice.
Yes, yeah. And
it says, in your dreams, Slay Boy.
Yeah, there you go, in your dreams. Yep, that's what it was. That one gets my vote. I think that one got a little chuckle out of me as a kid, and I think it got a little chuckle on rewatch too. But that one's probably getting my vote. The naughty nice list.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely one of them. And I think at the end, right at the climax, we'll get into this too with what age the best. But I think that there's a couple scenes there that really sneak out when Scott Calvin has reached his final form. Like he's like a Pokemon who's fully developed into Santa Claus at this point, like 1 year later, which is also interesting. One of the few Christmas movies that actually span out a whole year, not just like a week before Christmas or on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve.
That's a good point. I never thought of that. Yeah. Most of them are all like 1 day or week or something like that. And it's, I never realized. Right? Yeah. But you brought up what age the best, and that's where we go next. Now, I have one for this. Now, you came up with a couple other good ideas, but I just wanted to highlight, I thought that the child acting in this, like for what you're supposed to get out of him in this, I thought they did a good job. Is Charlie annoying? Yes. But Wes, if you were dealing with a guy like Neil as your stepdad, I gotta imagine you would run into a lot of problems.
I'm with you 100%. I thought, what's his name? Elliot, the kid's name there, Eric Lloyd, which they found him on a casting call of like thousands of kids, so they just kind of really plucked him out of obscurity. I thought he did a good job on it, but I just think the character is annoying.
Agreed.
But Elf Judy does a great job. All of the little elves and everything.
Good. Yes, the elves were good. That's the other part of it. There are a lot of kids in this, and they could have made it really brutal. And I felt like they just all kind of flowed nicely. Like, again, Charlie's the only one, but he's supposed to be annoying.
Yeah, exactly. I think What age? Again, kind of going off of Scott, kind of being that everyman, salt of the earth type of persona. Him just hurling like 100+ insults at Neil or about Neil, like the first 15 minutes of this movie, I think is great. Like every chance he gets, it's a one-liner. It's a one-liner. It's a one. Well, Neil's head comes to a point. It's like, oh, we're spending the Christmas with Neil's family. Oh, Christmas at the pound. Oh, it's like all these little things. Like it's just very funny. It's like he's throwing 100 miles an hour of just pure gas.
Yes,
and it's unrelenting. So I love that. Going to the back end of the movie, you have the Elves. I'm blanking on the actor. There, the ELFs there, but they have the tinsel who break Scott out of jail. Like those elves, you talk about great acting, were so fucking cool. Like that's what I wanted to be. Like as a childhood profession, like I wanted to be Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then one of the ELFs. Like that was number 2.
Effective liberating flight squad.
Yes, I would never have guessed that, by the way. So thanks for that pull. But I think that's a great little scene there. These badass elves who can fly, and then again they get like all your household Christmas decorations and items all have this like James Bond type of double use.
The tinsel, I honestly obviously went back and rewatched it before we did this. I'd forgotten about the tinsel thing. That was actually really cool. When you jotted that down, that was actually. That did age well. I totally forgot about it.
And I know this isn't ZZ Top here, but that slow walk out right around the same time where Santa's going to his sleigh from the North Pole. He's got Elf Judy there. He's got Charlie. He's got Barnaby, Bernard.
Oh, the thing he tweeted out?
Yeah. And they're walking out and they're going like this.
Yeah. Yeah, the arm swings.
They do it kind of like a unison type thing. Like one, like 1, 1, 2, a 1, 2, 1. I don't know. I'm not a dancer, but you get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I love that too. I think that's like corny, but again, kind of fits within the overall like pacing and feel of the story.
And that's something I think when we're talking about Christmas movies too, when the guys are breaking them down on #dork, I don't look at any Christmas movies really and say, oh, this is a great piece of film. How are you looking at a Christmas movie? It's all based around a holiday and themes that are all kind of corny and cheesy anyways.
Yeah,
so when it comes down to it, I think I put It's a Wonderful Life higher. And I know it's obviously an older movie, but like if we're talking about like how a movie is done, like that obviously it's very old and everything, but that was like well done, especially for its time. But I get it. Usually we're talking about like values or corny and cheese and all that stuff. But I'm going to give this to, I'm going to go with the hurling 100 insults at Neil for what age the best.
Yeah, I think that's in there because again, something I didn't necessarily pick up on. That's the adult humor kind of coming through for the divorced dads who are dragging their kids to this movie.
Yeah,
and so I think seeing that back again, I find that very funny. So I'm with you there.
Now that brings us to what age the worst, and I have a really good one, so I want to go last on this one if you don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. Here, I got a couple things. Again, right out of the gates, the office Santa at the beginning of the movie at the B&R Toys Christmas party. Scott Calvin receives his award or his recognition. He gets up on the mic and he's saying, "Our families aren't here right now. That's probably why Johnson's secretary is sitting on his lap." And then everyone just kind of turns and laughs, and he just kind of like shrugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's the big deal?
On nowadays,
that's fine. We're all good. Yeah.
In that same vein, when they go to Denny's, and right before when they pull up, Tim Allen goes to Charlie. Everyone loves Denny's. It's an American institution. Then, like, jump cut to a bunch of Asian businessmen yelling. This is a Disney-owned movie, which is owned by, probably decides a lot of what it does based off the Chinese market. Probably wouldn't go over very well now today.
Probably not. I tend to agree. Yeah, that is a weird move.
Yeah, a little bit. Again, maybe a similar vein. Bernard's Nazi-like reign over the rest of the elves at the North Pole.
I mean,
he's a jerk. He's asking if they drink coffee and like if they're on a break and everything. And it looks like he's ruling with an iron fist. Like it's just Kim Jong Bernard.
Okay, fair enough. But when you talk about what age the worst, like I look at the Johnson secretary thing and the Denny's thing, like when we were younger, maybe, or people at that time, it wouldn't have bothered them as much. But now okay, it didn't. It like this. It's like, yeah, that probably wouldn't happen. Bernard being like a dink, like, yeah, we knew he was a dink as a kid.
Yeah, but I know he's dink, but it's just like he's working in the North Pole. He's got a pretty good gig. I'm sure he's got like a pretty good, bonus package set up with the North Pole and his 401k and everything.
Maybe, but
Treadlocks is a good look. Like he's like a Jewish Jamaican Christmas elf. Like what?
The ship doesn't. Hey, the ship's not going to run itself, man. They need somebody there to be the drill sergeant, and he's got to be that guy.
That's true. That's true.
I respect Bernard.
How do you? Okay, that's one way. That's one way to go. I wasn't expecting that one. Where do you fall on Scott hitting on Elf Judy?
Okay, he didn't actually hit on her. That was just her not getting it.
Well, he said he did. You did look good for her age.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, she does for what? What was she? 1,200 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so she does. I mean,
yeah, I'm just saying, maybe did that age the best there? I don't know.
I think
especially with Charlie in the room, like 6 feet away from him.
I think your first two nominations are really good ones. I think I have a better one, but your last two, I don't think they were your best nominations. All right, mine is Scott, who obviously at the time is Santa. Scott, the father, okay, who's just lost his visitation rights with his kid, essentially abducting his son from his ex-wife's home and her now husband's home. To me, I feel like that's just like honestly, as I'm watching, like, ooh, like, yeah, I know he's Santa and stuff, and he's the good guy and the protagonist and all this, but it just like that kind of feels weird right now. Like where they don't know he's Santa.
You are going against the divorced dad nation here, and what you're missing here is that what you're supposed to really be asking yourself is not why is Scott taking Charlie away when he doesn't have visitation rights, is why is Neil meddling into every little situation during school to get they're suddenly going into a therapy session in the principal's office with Scott, and then he tries to get him taken away to begin with and puts the damn kid on a stand in a courtroom.
You are so right, Wes. And honestly, as you're saying all that, as much as Neil, we'll be talking about him plenty more as we go through all this. Neil was obviously brutal and we didn't like him, but after watching this again, years later, I probably hadn't seen this since like
it's tough to justify.
He is even worse. I'm changing like my nominee. I still stand by what I said. Like it was a little cringy when like him taking the kid like that. When you look at it for what it is, not knowing him being Santa, right? Neil still ages the worst in this though, because I thought the moment where they came home, where after he abducts him and then comes back with Charlie and brings back. Who's the first one that's hugging Charlie and like holding on to him and like not letting the mother of the child hold the kid?
Smothering. I think that's a psychological term, actually.
Maybe right. Fine. There you go. Like Neil already was brutal and obviously intentionally. He's my vote for ages the worst. Neil.
Let's do it. Let's lock it in. Although the Santa Claus and the secretary thing, right off the bat, that's yeah.
They set the tone. All right, that brings us to our unanswerable questions. And I have two for this before you rattle off what you got. First, why is Bernard bigger than all the other elves? I mean,
he's a normal-sized person.
Yeah, he's exactly. So why? I don't understand.
But he's a manager, but he's an elf. Is he just older? Like, do you get a growth spurt in your 2000th year of existence?
Right. I mean, there's another. The British male elf that was there. He was a little bigger than everybody else too, but it's just those two guys. Everybody else is smaller. What made you decide to do that? I get it from a casting perspective, but why in this universe is he bigger? I don't understand.
Yeah, there's some biological discrepancies here that I would like to discuss with the director and the writers if we get the chance. But yes,
we need a whole like a docuseries on Santa Claus, and how this got made and decisions and all that behind the scenes stuff. The other one that's huge for me, and I think this is the absolute winner. What was the real name of the previous Santa Claus? I mean, right.
And is it necessary to have the initials SC?
Oh, that's a good call too. Wow. That may be better than mine.
Yes, I think we can kind of encompass that all into one question there.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? And I think that kind of spinning off of that is why aren't the elves or everyone in the North Pole like more distraught that Santa died? Like they're all just like business people. One, not who's this guy showing up to the North Pole when Santa's red suit.
Yeah, how do you not like if you are Scott Calvin in this situation? How are you not like, huh? So eventually you would think he would revisit that moment and say, so if I die, they're just going to move on.
What you're really learning about is that Santa Claus, much like mall Santa Clauses, are dispensable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, jeez, that's a good call. Wes.
So why aren't the elves and everyone else distraught? But Charlie, who we know is like struggling with the idea of Santa Claus, and he may or may not be believing in him anymore, sees Santa Claus and his father, who he already has like a not a great relationship with, right? You see him talking to Laura when he gets dropped off at the night. You mean you're going to come up here, son up? We're here. We're leaving, right? He doesn't want to spend any time with his dad. Just watches his dad kill Santa Claus, and he's fine. Like he's just like doesn't completely well adjusted.
Totally fine.
That's that's sociopathic tendencies.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Yeah, so
it's a little weird.
Yeah, those are some big questions there. Tying back into the B&R toys, what exactly is B&R toys? Do we know? And more specifically, what is the Do It All For You dolly? What is it doing for you? Like it's not the Do It All dolly; it's the Do It All For You dolly. And then like when Laura is dropping off Charlie for the night on Christmas Eve, her and Scott get into an argument saying like, "Oh, I guess I can't be or you're spending too much time with Dolly or something like that. We all can't be do it all Dolly."
Yeah.
Like, oh, whoa, what are we talking? Is this some sort of futuristic sex device?
Yep.
Autonomous sex device.
Yeah, is there like a special way that you can unlock it, and it's actually sold at sex shops too?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
have you ever been in one of those, by the way?
A sex shop?
Yeah, like a sex toy shop or whatever.
Oh yeah. I've been in there. I've bought male thongs.
Oh, you have? Oh, I'll take it to the next level.
Gold sequenced male thongs.
When I did a road trip, one of the times I went like from Chicago to Massachusetts was with one of my college teammates, and we stopped off in one in the middle of nowhere. And I remember we were in there for like 5 seconds, and they were like, "We need to get out of here. This is so weird."
Well, it's weird because especially when you walk in with, I'm assuming two guys, and you just walk into a sex shop,
Yes.
There's other things that are getting presented in that scenario.
Yes, yeah, it's very, very uncomfortable to go into those places. And I think there's at least one in Dartmouth. I don't know if where there are ones on the Cape other than maybe P-Town.
I don't know. That's a good question. Amazing.net used to be very popular.
It was .net, and it was
but I think it was a website, but it was like a DVD superstore sort of thing. I remember there was one in Newport.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, there was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. But I wonder if those have kind of died out too. Sex toys.
I would imagine. I mean, listen, you got the internet at the
Yeah, those are especially because you're not really
sticky fingers.
Yeah, you're not really going to those places for the the buyer experience, right?
No.
Unless there's a chance that the porn stars actually show up at the place, and then it's like seen those.
That could be. And to be honest, I would have to imagine that any sex store would be fully COVID sanitary compliant, just pre-COVID. They would have lube and Purell all over the place.
They could survive this better than anybody.
We're going off the rails here because this is a wholesome Christmas Disney movie that we're reviewing. Now we're talking about that. But another question. How would Denny's be out of chocolate milk but not milk? They don't have chocolate syrup. You don't have some chocolate that you can melt like
that is
back there, Judy.
She just stunk. That's really what it came down to. I agree with you 100%. I'm watching it. Wait a second, just get syrup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I personally prefer milk that's already chocolate before.
Sure.
But yeah, okay. Well, I don't
crack a few eggs if you want to make an omelet. You know what I'm talking about?
Right, but is that like a universal thing? Like everybody prefers it where it's chocolate beforehand, not you have to insert syrup into it like manually?
Yeah, I like putting the chocolate at the bottom and then the milk when you pour it in. Kind of mixes it up for itself.
But that's what I'm talking about. I personally like it where I buy milk that's already chocolated. Like I don't want somebody doing it behind the scenes or whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, if that was the only option, you would take it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Kid, I'm not sure if this kid has the refined enough palate to know the difference between, artificially pre-made chocolate milk and just made it in the back, whip it up real quick.
Very true. That's a fair point. Either way, at the end of it, Denny's screwed over Charlie, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, almost ruined Christmas. Almost. Who's to say Scott doesn't rob all of these houses and the cops are really looking for Santa Claus, the present snatcher?
This is. I think this is a little reach on your end. I like where your head's at, but I can't.
I don't think he's doing that. But I mean, if I was Scott Calvin, like, who's to say that I wouldn't do that? Like, you're just in the house. You got a great cover. You got a great getaway car or vehicle, you know?
Sure. Yeah. But are you going to be able to get back up the chimney with all that stuff in your hands?
Well, I don't know. That depends. Does magic support deception and thievery?
I think in certain universes it might, but maybe not this one.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That's a tough one. Okay,
I could
not
be
my
wrong.
best work. My last one here is a two-part question. And Nick, you're a health guy. Would you have a heart attack if you gained 45 pounds in a week?
I'm pretty sure you would. I'm pretty sure it's damn near impossible.
Yes.
I don't know. I know that we've gone over this before. I generally try to eat healthy, but especially this time of year, it's very difficult.
Yeah, you let it go.
Exactly. And sometimes I try, like Thanksgiving, I try and eat really, really healthy those first few days before, so that I can just go crazy. And I can gain sometimes I can get 8 pounds if I really go bananas and carry it into that next day. I can get 8 pounds in 2 days, but 45 pounds in a week, you're dying.
Yeah. I think Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia lost 60 pounds in 8 months, and he really did a number on his body. 8 months number may not be right, but he did gain and lose 60 pounds in a really weird short amount of time. So I can't imagine that's healthy. And then to coincide with that, is it healthy to have heart palpitations to the tunes of Jingle Bells? And if your doctor doesn't acknowledge that, then should you find a new doctor?
Yeah, you absolutely should. And I can't believe that they said he was did he not fit as a horse? What was the healthy?
You're as healthy as a horse.
Yeah,
like a Clydesdale.
Yeah, how are you guys? How can you look, to each their own and whatever you're comfortable with your body and stuff. But if this guy has just gained all this weight out of nowhere, and you're gonna talk to him look straight in the eye and say, "Yeah, you're as healthy as anybody else." I mean, he just doesn't pass the eye test after what?
No, that's a shitty doctor. This is probably this is a topical joke here, but is this doctor an MD or a PhD? Is this a doctor of education here that we're talking about?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. This is probably one of Neil's doctor buddies. Really.
Yeah, exactly. But what I will say for that doctor is that he gives A+ bedside chatter. Just a little bit of chatter. He's like, I'm getting all the gray hair. He's like, well, you getting old, buddy? That's old age.
Yeah, that's the other question.
Diet, and he's like, I eat all the milk and cookies and stuff like that. He's like, well, lay off the sweets, Tubby.
Yeah. How is that? That's another thing that gets glossed over even more so. He just goes gray in the matter of a week.
Yeah.
I mean, we all got gray hairs here and there, but it doesn't you don't just go full, from regular hair color, his brown hair color, to then gray white in a week.
Like that. And then even when they show him shaving his beard and dyeing it and everything, it grows back instantly.
Yeah, well, I want to know how Scott's seeing all this stuff. How do you not show it to somebody besides Charlie? How do you not? If you're getting to all this issues with your wife, the issues that pop up in this story could have been avoided. Again, like in most movies, especially from the 90s.
No one just wanted to believe Scott.
I mean, if you honestly, Wes, if your old man, let's say, comes home and he's gained all this weight, and you're obviously concerned, and it's happened in the course of a week. It's just strange, whatever. But if you start seeing him shave his face and then dye his hair and then comes back 5 minutes later or 5 seconds later, like in the movie, and everything is grown back and it's all white, aren't you going to start saying, holy crap, there is some magic at play?
Yeah. 100%. Even just by getting that, but I'm a believer of the weird and unusual by nature. So, I would need less proof.
I don't doubt that for a second. But actually, that brings us to our internet research portion of the review, which you provide us with everything when it comes to these. What do you got for this movie you love so much?
Yes, we put on our Scoop B internet sleuth hats now, as of course it's getting around the basketball season, so it's timely of that. But the movie was originally going to be named Such a Clatter.
Really?
As in a rose, such a clatter company.
Yes. Yeah, that could have worked, but that's Santa Claus
is much better. Double entendre word plays work out. It's always a big hit.
Well, especially with you.
Yeah, well, specifically with me, yes.
All that
The
matters.
studio thought Tim Allen was just a TV actor and didn't think that he could carry a movie on his own. So they were looking at such people as Tom Hanks, Mel Gibson, and Bill Murray to play Scott Calvin. Any thoughts on that?
Tom Hanks maybe could have pulled it off, but I wouldn't. I can just hear Tom Hanks like yelling in certain situations in the course of this, and I just not.
See, I think Tom Hanks would be almost too nice. Like Scott Calvin's kind of a jerk to his son, and he's like doesn't like to be bothered, at least early on, and he's just kind of like upset and annoyed by a lot of things.
Good call.
So I think Tom Hanks is too nice to do that, but Mel Gibson, I think, has that mean streak where he might pull it up. He's probably too rough around the edges or rougher around the edges than Tim Allen.
He's the opposite of Tom Hanks. Like, he could pull the mean part, but not the nice part. I mean, Bill Murray's probably the only one that could have done it, but he's just too sarcastic to like ever really buy as nice, like fully nice too.
Right. And I believe he was coming off as Scrooged, which was in 1992, and he had no interest in doing another holiday movie. So they wanted him, but he was never really considered because flat out he just said no.
Yeah, that makes. I think Tim Allen was perfect for this. I mean, in terms of his character, he was great.
Upon the release of this movie, Allen was like the height of his career. He had the #1 movie in the country at the time with the Santa Claus. He had the #1 TV show in the country at the time with Home Improvement, of course. And he had also reached #1 in the New York Times best-selling charts with like an autobiography or something like that. All in the same time. So like all three major mediums, in the United States, Tim Allen was at the top of it.
Because
that was tool time at its finest.
He went through a lot of shit, right? Like he was drug dealing and stuff like that.
He went to jail, but I think that was in the 80s or maybe the 70s or something for cocaine.
That's okay. Possession,
dealing, or got caught with it, but whatever the deal was.
But yeah, so I'm assuming he must have included that in his autobiography. I mean, even then, I would think that's why it would be a bestseller on top of his show and everything. But
yeah, absolutely. How about this little recent news in November 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic limiting new releases? The Santa Claus was re-released into just a little more than 1,500 theaters and grossed a little over $700,000.
Really?
Yeah, kind of cool, right? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The movie was filmed in Toronto, and the reindeer were real, and they were loaned from the Toronto Zoo.
Okay, well, wait a minute, but what about Comet? Like, he's not animatronic?
His head was probably, I'm sure they did like real stills and stuff like that, and then were able to animate off of that.
Yeah. Okay, then that makes a little more sense. Okay.
The original script that we had referenced was actually much darker, with Scott fatally shooting Santa Claus to open the movie.
Jesus, they wanted to shoot him?
Yeah, that's Tim Allen quoting that.
Dear God. Oh, okay. Tim Allen saying that? I don't know how much I believe that. Then.
Well, he's a big part of it. He's the guy, he is the Santa Claus.
Yeah, but he could have been joking about it too, Wes, if it's coming.
That's true. It's a good point.
But it's out there, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Allen spent 4 to 5 hours in makeup every day getting ready for the role and putting on various fat suits. He called it torture.
Torture. I mean, dude, as much as Home Improvement made you, this is like, turned you into a movie star too. I mean, it's.
Yeah. This is this is the last one here. I think this is pretty funny. Old DVD releases of the film include a line that was later removed from the film, with Scott making a joke about calling, quote, 1-800-SPANK-ME, which the filmmakers did not realize was a real phone number for a sex line. Disney received complaints about children calling the number and decided to cut the line for the movie moving forward.
Oh my God, really?
I guess, yeah. Isn't that funny? I'm sure my dad still has a VHS copy, that same VHS copy of it. When I go over there for Christmas, maybe, although we don't have a. Never mind. I don't know how I would watch it then.
Yeah, I think. Well, you said DVD. Maybe it's on. I mean, depends on when they cut it, but I think my parents.
It would 1,000% be on the VHS because you can't retroactively,
Yeah, but I don't have. I think my parents have the DVD. If you know when that is, I'll try and I can try and get it from them and see if I can record it.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that on the YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that brings us to best quotes, and I'm surprised you didn't have anything jotted down for this category.
No, and there's a couple things like the Veronica, very nice. Don't forget the fire extinguisher from Charlie. I think that's pretty funny. Hey Charlie, you like Asabuco? Those things, but there's not like funny lines, like quotes like for example, from the other guys that I would lose in everyday life. Like I think
Definitely.
this movie has memorable scenes and like conversations and back and forths. But again, a lot of and the one-liners from Scott, Calvin to Neil.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, this is definitely not a movie where you can pull a lot of quotes for everyday life. But I thought the one that again, this is one thing that still got a chuckle out of me when I rewatched it. When Scott was hitting, again, like you said, hitting on Judy, whatever. But she took it as he was. She's like, "Thanks, but I'm seeing someone in rapping." I was like, what the hell?
And just very casually, like, just like brushes it off, like doesn't like think twice about it, and just takes the question so sincerely, whether it was just a joke or just like an offhanded, like just a something that you're saying to keep the conversation going.
I remember as a kid, even like, "Wait a minute, what did she just say?"
Yeah,
yeah. But I thought the actress did well with that little moment she had. But who won this movie in your book, Wes?
There's only two people who are up for the award, and it's Tim Allen and Santa Claus. Of course, Tim Allen at the time that I just mentioned, right there, on top of the world, really killing it in the entertainment business with Home Improvement, this movie, then of course his book. So I think he has to be up there. And again, what do we keep calling him? He is the Santa Claus. Like the title works not only because it's like a double entendre play on words sort of thing, but it's easy. Tim Allen is the Santa Claus, and it's just like. Will Ferrell is Elf, and those two things almost become synonymous with one another.
That's true. Yeah,
I think it has to be Tim Allen. Santa Claus comes back. I don't know what's going. It's a little bit of a renaissance period. I think in the early '90s with Home Alone. You have the Santa Claus, Home Alone 2. I think some of these Christmas movies kind of pop off. Some of these popular Christmas movies really start to take hold.
Right, but how does Home Alone impact Santa Claus? I mean, yeah, Christmas.
Well, Christmas and stuff, yeah. So
okay,
maybe that's bullshit. Maybe it's Tim Allen and that's it.
I think it's Tim Allen and that's at the end of it all. Because when you think who's your like Hollywood Santa, I mean, I say it's Tim Allen. I don't even know who else it would be. Like, I can't remember who plays Santa in Elf.
Could be Steve Carell. He's playing Santa in those. I think it's Comcast or Xfinity commercials or something now.
Is he really?
Yeah, and it's so predictable, right? It's like everyone. It's Santa on Zoom thinking as elves.
Oh, okay. All right. I think who lost this movie is significantly easier than who won this movie is easy, but I think who lost this
movie. There's really only one person.
Yeah, who lost the movie in your book?
So I think there's three people up for nomination here, with one clear-cut winner that should be kind of obvious if you've listened to everything up until this point in the episode. But it's Charlie, it's Laura the mother, and it's Neil. But Neil is far and away the loser of this movie for so many reasons that we had already mentioned. But he's a dink, and if not, like the reason that makes him the worst, or is like makes you realize that he is the worst, is the fact that he stopped believing in Santa Claus at 3 years old because he wanted an Oscar Mayer weenie whistle, and he never got it. A weenie whistle. Weenie whistle.
I never heard of that before, and it's 3 years old. What? So, okay. If honestly, she's his wife now, so you gotta, I guess you could get separated, again, but it's your second husband, whatever. I hear that at 3, I gave up on Santa because I didn't get a friggin' little whistle that I wanted. To me, that screams a spoiled, rotten brat. That's what you were. And now, now you're raising Charlie to be the same exact freaking way. Oh, I didn't get what I wanted, so yeah, I give up on that. No, not cool with it. He is so. I mean, I feel like that was I don't know if that was a 90s thing, because we did see an Anchorman, the second Anchorman, obviously much more forgettable, but like when you have the psychiatrist gets brought into the family and you make fun of him for not being a real doctor, shrink, all that kind of stuff. But man, he is just so unbearable throughout the entire thing. And as a kid, he was brutal too. I think I saw him in something. I remember seeing him in something after. I don't know what it was. But the second I see that guy's face, I'm like, oh, that bastard from the Santa Claus. He sucks.
And if this isn't the cherry on top, he spells his name Neal.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be Neil. Yeah.
Right, so that's how I've typically seen the spelling of Neil. But like Neal, like I think of Neil, like isn't there like a safety or a linebacker or something like that on the Atlanta Falcons? Their last name is Neil. Like that Neal feels like a last name more than a first.
Yeah,
name.
like Shaq O'Neal.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, like I can't believe I didn't consider him originally for what age the worst, because he's as a kid he sucks, but he's so much worse when you see him as an adult. And but at the same time, the mom is pretty freaking brutal too, because like
I think she's loving. I just have a tough time. She looks cold with the haircut. The haircut's like with the short hair, and it's all very straight and rigid and stuff. And she seems like very clinical, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like when she interacts with Charlie, she's very loving and like and warm and stuff. But her look is a very cold, steely look.
She's a bad judge of character, I would say.
Wow. Yeah, if you're dating a psychiatrist. Could you imagine dating a psychiatrist, what that must be like? Like they're just like you can never win an argument with a psychiatrist.
Yeah, it's always getting profiled into something, and how did it make you feel?
And then like anytime you are mad, it's always gonna be like, this isn't really about me. This is about your parents, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that what a psychiatrist says all the time anyway?
I think so. You're probably sounds about right.
No, I'm too stubborn and Irish to ever go see a psychiatrist.
I saw a sports psychologist in college, I think my senior year at one point. Very helpful. None of that stupid doctor, like not doctor, parent mumbo jumbo stuff. Definitely a lot more like you talk and then try and like guide you in certain directions. Very helpful. Very helpful.
So I just as my worlds are colliding here a little bit right now, my most recent episode that I just recorded on my Sideline Sessions podcast for my work, if you're into sports or anything, I was with a sports psychologist. And we talked about like the yips, and like he has this new book out called On How Elite Athletes Are Made. It's really interesting, actually. But he talks to Trevor Bauer about the art of deception and coming from similar arm slots and everything like that, and how when a hitter has like a half a second or something, whatever it is, to react to it, getting that repetitive motion is more important than actually getting like spin or huge breaking balls or anything, a la Greg Maddux.
It's absolutely more important. That was what I get into all that nuts and bolts with you. But one thing on the yips, they are not a laughing matter. I can tell everybody that. I dealt with them, got through them, and I have helped other people with it since. Not funny, not fun to deal with. They are very much a real thing.
Paralysis by analysis.
But
right?
if you know somebody who's dealing with that, let them know you can't get through it, because I've somehow figured it out. But anyway. That's right. Well, he just went and played in center field.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way you can screw that up. Best performance by a side character. Now,
so I had Charlie on here originally, and I took him off. I would be okay with him as a nominee. I don't see him as a clear-cut winner here. I think the side characters are tough. I see your choice here, and although I don't agree with it, I do think it's memorable because we spend so much time talking about him, right?
Yeah, like that's like when we talk. If we're talking like you have, okay, so who do you have? So everybody knows first.
I have Bernard. Kind of fun, and mostly for his interactions with Scott, or Scott's interactions with Bernard here.
Right,
and that's what I enjoy. But the second one is kind of a wild card here. It's Comet. Again, the interactions with Scott there is great. When he farts the first time and all this other thing, they did a good job with emoting the reindeer.
They did, and I think he takes on a bigger role in the second Santa Claus movie, if I remember correctly.
Right, you're right.
But like when I look at those two, I think okay, they're more like maybe this is again we've run into these definition issues before between you and I. Like, is it side character like the more prominent characters who we see quite a bit throughout the movie that are clearly not the main character? Because when I think of Bernard in this movie, he takes on a bigger role, I think, in the second one, but he's more of a bit character. And Comet absolutely is a bit character. Yeah. Whereas Neil, it's like you have Tim Allen, you have Laura, who I guess is the leading lady in this movie, and then you have Neil and Charlie, who are the next tier of character.
Yeah.
As much as we get a lot of Charlie too. So I would say Neil is the best side character in this by my definition.
Yeah, and on the IMDb casting rundown, I think Judge Reinhold has second billing in this movie to Tim Allen.
Oh, so
yeah, he does.
So then I don't know if I can count him for that then, because if not, I'm probably like.
See, to me, I think this movie is a Tim Allen movie, and then everyone else is interacting with him outside of that. So, I would say it's on the table.
Okay, so
who are we? Who do we think we are right now, arguing for each other that we're both right. You know what I mean? This is a little bit of a page. I'm not sure if I can get used to that.
Neil is the answer here. No question about it.
Okay, I might vote for comment. We will split differently on that one. Maybe we'll get some comments from the crowd upon listening about what they think the best side character was from the Santa Claus. But I think this wraps up our category list. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Was able to pull out some deep cuts here, references and that sort of thing. So I hope the viewers at home enjoyed it as much as I did. But 2020, this is a new segment that we installed here. Maybe this will be going into 2021. The Quarantine Corner, Nick. What's going on?
All right. Big, huge news came out, and I saw this on Twitter from Up to Task, that old nerdy bastard over there on Twitter. He's a great follow.
He is.
Holy shit. I had seen, we had seen, obviously, we all love X-Men, the animated series, the 90s cartoon, whether we were talking about the DSG members or all our listeners out there. I think everybody loves those shows. Wes has the show in the book for those who are listening to us in audio form. We obviously talked to Eric and Julia Leewald a little while back. You can go and listen to that. But and we love that theme song. Outstanding, all-time, absolute favorite. But there was another theme song for like the Japanese version, and it was this crazy rock song. I thought that's what this was from that I'm about to mention, and I was wrong. Still,
okay.
What I'm talking about is the X-Men anime series from, I guess, Japan, right? Because the anime is Japanese.
Yeah, Japanimation, yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was Japanese or Chinese. I apologize. But from 2011, it is I believe, 11 episode series on Netflix from 2011. It is available now.
Have you watched it before this came out?
Never watched it before. I watched the first episode, and it was, I'm a little bit through the second. I've been a little busy, unfortunately, since I saw it, but it was, there's a lot of action to it. Anime is a little different than what we're used to, but I know Shime is very excited about it.
Okay, I might give that a watch. At least I give it a one episode watch to see what's going on with it.
Looks like it's only 22 minutes a pop, so I think you're going to be fine. Yeah,
can't lose that much time then. Only 22 minutes. That's good.
Exactly.
What did I do? How about the Sykes Holiday Christmas Party 2020? It was a roaring success. Nick, you were there. I see you got the Christmas gift that I was supposed to return to you after finding out that you did not buy me a Christmas gift, only after the fact. But
no, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I had the hat. I should have had the hat on for the show here, but I was a Gryffindor hat, so I loved it. That was a great time.
That's what I was trying to tell you. That was you thought I was a humble brag. That wasn't the joke I was trying to make. It was that I was trying to get it when I said I went for myself to Newberry Comics way back then. That was there, and they didn't. And I was trying to get it at a discount. So then I asked her after the fact because I'm going to go back anyways. So and that's where I was. But so
and I think the inside joke was what Nick was referencing, that I guess on a previous episode he was disappointed about not having a sale. That Newberry Comics was having any sales going on for Black Friday. I think it was.
Yeah, I couldn't get the hat for a cheaper price. I was trying to do that.
So upon opening up the Nick's gift, which was so bachelor in form.
Yeah,
just in a brown paper bag, almost like you stopped at a porn shop on the way over there. And just like, but he hands it to me, and then he's like, I paid full price for this. I'm like, wow.
That's not what I said. I didn't say those words. I was trying to tell Wes that I didn't not think of him on Black Friday. I was not this selfish a-hole that I know. Yeah. To be.
The interaction was very funny because then you even followed up because there was also a lovely keychain from Dunder Mifflin in the bag as well. But you left the price tag on that, and then you pointed it out right after saying that.
Yeah, I was so pissed. I wanted to know because you know what, Wes, when I fuck up, I want to own it right then and there. I don't want you to find out later. Be like, God, Nick is even more of a mess. No, find out now.
I just hope you wrap your Christmas gifts for your family better than for me. Yeah, it's low expectation. The bar's set low for me.
Yeah, right. No, I understand that. I wrap my mother's gift, and then everybody else's I put it in a gift bag with actual tissue paper in there.
Yeah, you need the tissue paper. Yeah, that's. But you got to save it for the family though. Don't waste it on me.
I felt really bad about that one. I honestly.
Oh, that was funny. That was good stuff.
It was just so poorly executed all the way around on my end, but I ended up getting the gift that I wanted for you, so it worked out perfectly.
It worked out. I love it. So it'll come in handy. Apparently, I'm supposed to be getting snow on Christmas, so maybe I'll put it to good use then.
And for those who aren't watching us on our stream, whether it's on Twitter, hashtag Dork Shared Universe Facebook page, or YouTube, Wes got me also something from Newberry Comics. It's the X-Men Class of 1991 shirt, which features Wolverine, Psylocke, and Gambit, among others. And Rogue. I've looked at this shirt a million times there, Wes, and be like, is today the day I'm going to get it? No. And I didn't need to, because
Sunday was the day you got it.
Yes, because you got my back, and I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been, it's been fun stuff we do over here, and I will like to say on the holiday Christmas party, we kept numbers low, not a crazy amount, wasn't a rip roaring time or anything like that. And upon entry, and Nick, I think you can confirm this, there were free vitamin C and vitamin D hors d'oeuvre gummies available there on toothpicks, and everyone came with a little shot of Purell.
Yes, yeah,
it was a real rager.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we also made sure that we were socially distanced from everybody pretty much the entire time too.
Yeah. Well, it's all Julia's friends and then my one friend. So
yeah, exactly. Fine with me. We talked about everything. We talked about everything.
Pretty much ran the gamut.
Except for the Mandalorian season 2, which if you guys want to hear more about that, go listen to Mac and Goo. Go listen to hashtag Dork. If you're watching us on the live stream, hashtag Dork will be streaming it shortly after we wrap things up. Wes, what is the People for Communism podcast talking about this week?
I believe they were reviewing Bad Santa, and a little bit of bad news for a movie that is near and dear to the PCP hearts. Is I believe the producer for the 1989 classic Aliens passed away today.
No,
I believe so. I forget his name, but when I was looking up research for Trending Now, I think that was one of the stories that I came across.
Jeez.
Didn't think it was too appropriate for Trending Now, but I think it applies here.
Save it for pick of the podcast over on hashtag.
There we go. Yeah, pour out a little liquor.
Of course. We have Billy D from the Podcast for Communistic People. He also hosts the I've Heard It Both Ways, but Pineapple Boys with Doc, who I do TLDR with. You can listen to I've Heard It Both Ways over on the PCP audio channel, and they also live stream it as well, TLDR. You can, of course, listen to here, and make sure you guys are following the streamers. Shy, Doc, Davey, and Max sometimes streams too, all over on Twitch. Wes, not TBD next week. You know what we're doing next week.
No, it was supposed to be what we're doing this week, and that's going to be Wonder Woman 84. We're going to have a great time.
Yes.
Very fun.
Yeah. So until then.
Same bat time. Same bat place.